course I feel anxious about the future.
I ended up applying to 14.
I do definitely worry that computers will take over.
Sometimes the customer just doesn't pay.
No, I don't think even becoming an engineer and making $150,000 a year will get me the life that I want. Hi, I'm Anderson.
Hi, I'm Ben.
I do CNC machining and woodworking as my main trades.
I do CNC machining and engineering.
I would generally disagree with that. I started off doing CNC machining just because I saw it at CCIC, the Cherry Creek Innovation Campus, and thought it was cool, but I never thought about actually getting a job in there or working in the trades. I generally planned to go to college at first, and then I changed my mind and said I don't want to go to college, and then I changed it again, and now I'm going to college.
As long as I remember, I have had an interest in the trades. Started with computer science back in middle school, although I didn't know what it was called. But then once I actually started getting into it, I realized that it wasn't that appealing to me. So then my focus was gradually shifting more towards engineering.
Disagree. I think college is a great way to further your education. I think the trade route is absolutely an amazing route, and I've got a lot of friends who are doing it, and they make good money, they enjoy it, they love their job, but I personally just love math, and I love learning in general. I've loved school my entire life. It's one of those things where I just would hate to lose it, and I don't see why I wouldn't go and learn more about how the world works.
I strongly disagree. I started applying to schools, to colleges. I ended up applying to 14, and there's still a longer list than that of schools that I was interested in. And then I plan on actually potentially continuing in other colleges.
Of course I feel anxious about the future. The future is such an unknown that who doesn't stay up at night thinking about what's gonna happen tomorrow? Like what if this or what if that? And the reality is that if you don't make the most of what you have now, you're not necessarily gonna be able to make the most of it later. So that's kind of why I took the path that I did in making a small woodworking business. I saw the opportunity, I said I'm gonna do it, and I got up the next morning and I did it, and I have never looked back. I thought it was the best thing ever. Because of that, even if I die tomorrow, I'm always going to be trying to do whatever I can to make sure I can have a good, fulfilling life.
I would say somewhat agree. Like, everybody has a little bit of anxiety about some things, but for me, like, at the very least, short term, I'm not super anxious about the future, like what might happen with my career.
I would agree there are jobs for me in my future profession, but I do definitely worry that computers will take over. That's kind of why I started to move away from the trade. That's one of the reasons I told myself I was going to go to college, is because I didn't want my trade to just be taken over by a robot. For the most part, engineering is a great job where I won't have to worry about job security.
I think that your point on robots taking over is a good one, although it is a lot more creative and open-ended, so I think that, yeah, we do have some security in knowing that robots are unlikely to take over our jobs. But I also have so many other interests, like music and world languages, so I feel like I'm pretty secure about that.
You want to go first, or you want me to?
Yeah, they did. So I guess agree.
My mom went to college for teaching. Everyone says teachers get paid horribly, but she makes a fair amount of money, and we have a comfortable life. My dad started attending college for architecture, but ended up dropping out and just working for firms like you would into trade. And he loved it. He started his own small company and is working to this day. And I think he really loves what he does, regardless of if he went to college. My mom loves what she does, and she did go to college. I don't think it makes a huge difference whether or not you do.
My dad went to college for civil engineering at Iowa State. I think he said that he started with mechanical, but then shifted to civil because mechanical got a little bit too much that he didn't want.
I would say that's a hard one to answer, because economics is a very uncertain field of conversation, and it's one of those things where if inflation stays where it's at and the housing markets keep going up, then no, I don't think even becoming an engineer and making $150,000 a year will get me the life that I want. I don't see how a trade would fulfill a lifestyle if going to college and making way over 6 figures would do the same.
I think that depends on exactly what trades, because there's like some are more needed than others. Like technically being a hairstylist is a trade, but there's not a really high need for that. But building houses, there is a need for housing and other buildings.
I would actually disagree with that statement. I think there's a huge need for hairstylists. I think there's a similar need for a lot of the trades, and I don't think the trades are going to go away. I don't think they're going to go away without a fight, that's for sure. I don't feel like there is an up-and-coming skills gap. I feel like the skills gap is now. If you get out there and you do a trade and you work hard at it, you will have a great opportunity to move up and do exactly what you want in your career field. When I was getting into the trades, I'm like, why would anyone hire me? There's about 1 billion other people who are doing it. But I feel like that's just not true, and that there are plenty of jobs for everyone to get a job. And I think if you're willing to put in the effort, you'll get a better job than other people who aren't.
I kind of agree with that. Like there is a skills gap right now, but I think like if there really was a need for a lot more people in a trade, then if not the government, then at least the businesses that are involved in those trades would probably be pushing out more incentives, probably financial incentives, for people to become knowledgeable in that trade and then do that trade.
I would say that's false. I think a lot of people don't get respect for the trade they're doing. I've heard of a lot of people just straight up not paying service workers for what they do, even when they came out to a person's house and put in the time and effort to gain the knowledge on how to fix something and then to fix it for them. I wish people were a lot nicer to service workers, and I don't feel like they get the respect they need for the job that they do. It's a lot harder than just sitting at a desk all day engineering something.
My dad, he does, he has his own contracting business. A lot of times when I go with him to a job site, I hear either him or some of the people that he works with talking about like really insanely low offers that they get, or sometimes the customer just doesn't pay. Not a whole lot of respect, even though probably one of the most important businesses in the world. I'm not saying that's the most important, but definitely.
I think it is one of the most important.
Yeah.
Because without trade workers, we wouldn't have plumbing, we wouldn't have electrical. Like if an outlet goes out, sure, I know how to fix an outlet a little bit, but it's not going to be certified, and I haven't dedicated all of that time to learning how to do everything properly, that a lot of people just don't appreciate the time that other people put into it.
And like, there's a reason why everything is the way it is. We have plumbing for a reason. Architectural standards exist for a reason. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but everybody says, oh, it's super simple, but nobody actually understands the complexities of it.
Okay.
Want me to go first on this one?
Go ahead.
I think that there's some parts yes, some parts no. Like, our generation, we have the internet, we have all these escapes from reality, but because of that, we're also not really in reality, so we don't like understand problems. We don't have the willpower or the capacity to solve problems.
I wouldn't quite go that far. I wouldn't say that the generation before us had it easier. I'd say this generation probably has it a little bit easier for a lot of things, because just like what's happening now, I can go on YouTube and I can learn all these cool things that the past generation would have to go to the library, look up books, spend the time researching something, not get an answer within a matter of 3 seconds. I'm not going to say it makes this generation weaker or raised to a lower standard. I think if this generation can learn to successfully use the tools without just not developing personal skills like how to do and use the things that they're learning, then I think it will make this generation a lot
better off.
Yeah, a lot more productive.
Each generation had their problems. They're just different, so it's hard to say which one was actually harder.
And I didn't live in the last generation.
Yeah, so we don't really know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to answer what I don't fully know what all of the problems were.
Yeah, let's get my dad in here.
Should we call up our parents?
So he can answer that.
It's not that I feel like I have some superpower to grow in the future, I feel like this generation has been given all the tools to build whatever future they want, and I feel like that's one of the things that this generation has been blessed with, but it's a matter of, are you willing to take the time to learn how to do what you want to do? Are you willing to put in the effort to make the future you want? I wake up at 5 to 6 every morning and I go and do stuff. Compared to some like my sibling who sits and plays video games, I feel like I have a lot more drive and willingness to actually build the future that I want. I feel like the skills gave me the ability to feel empowered to create the future I want, but I wouldn't say that everyone necessarily has that.
I feel empowered in a different way. Like, you have the drive, but I feel like I don't really know exactly what I want to do yet, but I just feel like I'm excited to see what comes in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I know what I want to do. I would say I've tried a bunch of things and said, I don't like it, but I like this about it. I'm going to try and find something that has the goods and not the bads. So like, I just started a woodworking business and I absolutely loved working with my hands. I love talking to people. I hated the taxes and the accounting and all of that. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to own my own business, but I do like working with my hands. And I tried CNC machining, and I feel like that's where the drive comes in, to try new things and to take the time to build the future you want. I would say it's not something I need. I feel like it's kind of what we were talking about before, the empowerment of the drive, the willingness to do something. If you are willing to step out there and try something new, there are plenty of support systems, plenty of options to learn. I would say everyone has everything they need. They just need to utilize it. I think that's the biggest advice I can give is, instead of sitting on TikTok for an hour, go watch a video on how to take good photography or do woodworking or anything like that. And I feel like that is the best way to create the future you want.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to add to that. I do have a wide range of interests, but most of them I think stem from the fact that I don't really have the tools or the knowledge to go out and do them. Like, I can get the knowledge, but I also don't really have the tools. So I guess financial might be a problem. I guess I also need to get a little bit of that passion to go out and learn about it.
I personally don't believe financial was a huge blockage for me, because with Cherry Creek Innovation Campus, it's a trade school for high schoolers where we get time out of class. They make it cheap so that you can go do whatever you want and have access to the tools and access to the knowledge. But even if you can't afford the cost of it, they work around what you can provide, and they want to give kids a good education.
Yeah, that's why I like the CCIC, because there weren't really many barriers at all. Like, I just kind of go there, but I also feel like that's kind of the only place where I can learn about this stuff. Like, I know generally what I want to do, but once I go to college, then I can just explore a little bit and then figure out exactly what I want to do and still have the opportunities open.
I feel like the school gave you the ability to explore and not work, because in a lot of the apprenticeships I've heard about, you get to learn while you're doing it, but you are still doing work. You're still having to listen to your boss and do everything correctly. You're expected to fail, but it's not something where you just get to screw around and find out. I think that's what makes the ability to go to a place like CCIC or even your Help High School, where they have all the machines, and just to have fun. And I feel like you can't always do that in a work environment.